Let's jump right into the incredibly clever world of a boy named Elmer Elevator. Remember? Elmer doesn't use super strength or, magic powers to survive the wild, dangerous jungle. Nope. Instead, he uses his brain along with the simple, everyday items right there in his backpack. So let's learn exactly how Elmer outsmarts some of the absolute fiercest animals on Wild Island. Okay, I want you to imagine something for a second. Have you ever had a really, really bad hair day? You know, the kind where your hair is just full of knots and totally won't do anything you wanted to? Well, what if that terrible hair day belonged to a giant, dangerous, and very hungry lion? Just picture a huge lion throwing a massive roaring tantrum right in the middle of the jungle because, well, that is exactly the situation Elmer accidentally walks right into. So Elmer is just walking down the jungle trail when he hears this angry animal roaring. Elmer creeps up super carefully and peers into a small clearing. And right there, he spots a furious lion prancing around, literally clawing at his own mane. The lion's hair is completely snarled and tangled up with these prickly blackberry twigs, and you know what happens? The more he claws at his messy hair, the worse the tangles get and the louder he yells at himself. Naturally, Elmer tries to sneak away into the bushes. But uh-oh, the lion spots him. The lion charges over and scoops Elmer right up in his huge front paws just to see how fat he is. He looks right at Elmer and roars, "Ordinarily, I'd save you for afternoon tea, but I happen to be upset enough and hungry enough to eat you right now." Wow, Elmer is in terrible danger here. But guys, he is literally about to become a quick jungle snack. But Elmer is incredibly smart. He just calmly asks the lion why he's so upset in the first place. Elmer has a huge problem because he's about to be eaten, but the lion actually has a huge problem too. The lion is absolutely terrified of his mother. You see, his mom is coming over on a flying dragon this afternoon, and she absolutely hates messy manes. The lion is so scared that if she sees his tangled hair, she will completely stop his allowance. So, Elmer spots a perfect chance to solve the lion's problem and, save his own life. He tells the lion he has exactly what he needs right in his backpack. Elmer pulls out a comb, a brush, and 7 beautiful hair ribbons of all different colors. Then he gives the lion his very own clever hair routine. He tells him step 1, brush a while. Step 2, comb out the twigs. Step 3, brush again until it's perfectly smooth. Step 4, divide the hair into 3 and braid it. And finally, step 5, tie a beautiful ribbon around the end. It's kind of ridiculous, but it worked. We go from an angry, yelling lion with a terrible, prickly mane to a completely happy, smiling lion covered in beautiful, neat braids and colorful bows. Actually, the lion is so incredibly proud and totally distracted by brushing and combing his beautiful new hairstyle that he doesn't even notice when clever little Elmer quietly sneaks away and escapes. Phew! After that completely narrow escape, Elmer's feeling pretty hungry himself, so he stops to rest under a baby banyan tree. He really wants to eat a huge snack, but when he checks his pack, he realizes he only has 13 tangerines left. Just 13. He has to be super careful with his food because he still has a really long way to go to rescue the dragon, and it might be a long time before he can find anything else to eat. So he eats just 4 little tangerines and carefully saves the rest. But just as Elmer finishes packing up his tangerine peels, he hears some loud, familiar voices coming down the trail. It's the wild boars. Elmer quickly hides and overhears them complaining. One boar is super confused because all the dangerous jungle animals are acting really strange today. I mean, tigers are sitting around chewing gum and a rhino is busy brushing his tusks. The other boar just snorts and says, "Horse feathers," which means nonsense, and start marching right past Elmer's hiding spot. So Elmer creeps past those noisy, grumbling boars. Then, a little while later at a crossroads, he has to duck really quickly behind a signpost to hide from a beautiful snooty lioness who is marching past looking very dignified, which, by the way, must definitely be the lion's mother. Finally, by late afternoon, Elmer safely arrives at the muddy banks of the river and sits down under a palm tree. While Elmer is sitting there quietly under that palm tree, trying to come up with a really good plan to cross the river, when suddenly, something completely huge, big, black, and very hairy jumps straight out of the branches above and lands heavily right at Elmer's feet. Oh my goodness, can you guess what it is? It is an enormous, fierce gorilla. And let me tell you, this gorilla is not happy to see a boy in his jungle. He glares right at Elmer and demands that he explain himself immediately. In fact, the gorilla gives Elmer exactly 10 seconds to tell him his name, his business, his age, and exactly what is hiding inside his backpack. And then the gorilla starts counting to 10 as fast as he possibly can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Elmer barely even has time to open his mouth to say his name before the giant gorilla roars, too slow, "I'll twist your arms the way I twist that dragon's wings." The fierce gorilla grabs both of Elmer's arms in his huge, heavy fists. Guys, this is terrifying. The gorilla is unbelievably strong, and he's actually threatening to twist Elmer's arms right off. So, we have to pause here for a second. Is this really the end for Elmer? Will he actually get his arms twisted by this enormous, angry gorilla? How in the world can a young boy with just a backpack possibly escape from the strongest animal in the entire jungle, who literally already has him trapped in his giant fists? Well, just as the gorilla is about to twist, we get the absolute silliest interruption ever. The gorilla suddenly lets go of Elmer completely and starts frantically scratching his own chest with both hands. "Blast those fleas," the gorilla yells. Turns out he has an incredibly itchy chest, and the bug bites are driving him absolutely crazy. He totally forgets all about twisting Elmer's arms because he is just so horribly itchy. He's so itchy, in fact, that he yells up into the tree for his helpers. It's time for the helpful monkey roll call. Down tumble 6 little monkeys: Rosie, Rhoda, Rachel, Ruthie, Ruby, and Roberta. They dash right over to the big gorilla and start furiously combing the hair on his chest, desperately trying to find the tiny, annoying fleas that are biting him. But there's a problem. The monkeys complain that the fleas are just too tiny and awfully hard to see. So once again, Elmer uses his brain. He reaches right into his handy backpack and pulls out exactly 6 magnifying glasses. He hands 1 to Rosie, 1 to Rhoda, 1 to Rachel, 1 to Ruthie, 1 to Ruby, and 1 to Roberta. What a totally brilliant solution to help the monkeys see those tiny little bugs. And it works perfectly. The monkeys look through the glass and shout that it's miraculous. The magnifying glasses make the fleas look so big that they can suddenly see hundreds of them. Actually, they work so wonderfully that tons of other monkeys swing down from the nearby mangrove trees just to get a turn looking through them. They crowd completely around the giant gorilla in this massive chattering circle, entirely hiding Elmer. And because the gorilla doesn't even remember Elmer's there, he's able to safely and quietly slip away completely unnoticed. And that perfectly brings us to our final thought for today's explainer. Elmer didn't try to fight the lion or the gorilla with muscles. No way. He listened to what their problems were: a messy mane and an itchy chest. And he used really simple things like hair ribbons, a comb, and magnifying glasses to solve those problems and save himself. It really just goes to show how super powerful a clever mind can be. So, think about it. What everyday ordinary items are sitting in your backpack right this second, and how could you use them to cleverly solve a giant problem and totally save the day? Keep thinking, keep exploring, and I'll see you on our next lecture.
If you'd like more personalized feedback, writing support, and discussion sessions, they're available with me or with our selected tutors. All the details are here.